The juice is back.
No, we're not.
We're back, dude. We're so back. We didn't record in I think we went about 2 weeks, which is pretty, it's pretty about par.
That's pretty good, dude. 2 weeks. One every 2 weeks. Solid.
Yeah, that is
solid juice performance.
We've got a couple lined up though now, so
we've been busy though, dude. We've been super busy. Me with the new rollover at 6. So I've been super, super busy. Actually, to your credit, you've kind of been on my ass a little bit about doing a podcast, and I appreciate it.
Well, we're about to roll a few out. We got a freaking young hammer on the show today, Tyler Williams. We're gonna get to talk to him, and he's making some moves, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some techniques, talk about baits, all that stuff. But we left y'all in the last episode talking about hopefully we come back with a champs win, and we did somehow.
What a miracle!
Somehow we came out with a champs win with 21.5 pounds.
Repeat that. 21 what? What one 20, on Rayburn?
21.5, something like that. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. It feels like ages ago now.
It was only 2 weeks.
I know it's only 2 weeks, but the Toyota took a lot out of me. It was
very
frustrating. But yeah, man, the champs win was not expected. We knew it was going to be very, very challenging with northwest winds blowing extremely hard, but we also knew that there was about a 2-hour window in the morning where we felt like somebody was going to get right, and it was not us. I mean, we did. I mean, we had 18 or something like that, but
well, we didn't get to start where we wanted to start.
No, we didn't get to start where we wanted to start. It's kind of story of our lives so far this year, but
I mean, that didn't really happen for us last year. This is a new development.
Yeah, this is a new development. But it is to be expected.
It is what it is.
To be expected after having
we handled it well and kind of rolled with the punches, and dude, the shallow fish. What?
Yeah, we won champs, not scoping. Can you believe that? Can you believe that, Shane? Because we are labeled. I don't know if you know this or not, but we are deemed labeled. We have no say in the matter. We are strictly scopers. We cannot catch them any other way.
That's what I've heard. That's
news to me. I didn't know that. So I guess we shocked the world winning it on a.
I mean, they probably don't believe us.
I don't even care if they believe.
We even talked about running a GoPro.
I know. I cannot believe we didn't run a GoPro.
I wish we would have had one. It would be so awesome to have that footage of us cranking them up shallow.
Yeah, but we even said earlier on that.
Oh, boo, dude. Why you got to ruin the party, Wyatt? Dang. I guess I'm going to fly solo here, but I don't know where he was going with that. So, unexpected. What'd you do?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Okay, we said we're back, but we didn't say we're going to have any
no
technical errors.
Hang on, I'm going to come back in.
All right. Well, you know what I'm going to do, dude? Nobody wants to sit here and stare at my mug by myself, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring in Tyler Williams, our guest. Come save this, dude. Save this.
Gosh.
Hey, listen, we never said that we knew what we were doing.
It's perfect for me. I like the way it's going.
Listen, man, we're fishermen first, podcasters second, and we're clearly not very good at it. Those that are very loyal fan base that watches us is they're used to this. So
it happens.
Man, a call came in. What do you want me to do, man?
Was it Papa Frank's?
No, it's not even my phone. It
was Lauren's
phone because mine's jacked up.
Yeah.
Gosh.
You should have just kept it going. I forgot what we were talking about. We were talking about something.
Well, dude, I know how long you're going to be gone, and Tyler's over here. I see him over there laughing at us. He's like, what did I get myself into? I got these.
I was laughing with you, not at you.
Okay. That's cool. I appreciate that.
That's right.
Nah, well, people probably want to listen to you more than they want to listen to us anyway. So.
No.
Tyler's a good, he's a good person to, talk to about this because you're deemed as just a scoper too, bro. Like,
I guess.
and you don't get any say in the matter, man. Like,
No,
just the
I
way
don't
it
know.
is, I guess.
It is. I'm young. I'm young.
Yeah, dude. It is what it is. I mean, honestly, I'm ready to just see how this season rolls out. I mean, you got the BPT started today on Conroe. That's where I'm at over here over by Lake Conroe now, and didn't get to watch much of that today because I'm a working man nowadays, so I was pretty busy. Didn't get to do anything. Watching
I gotcha.
Tyler, did you watch any of it?
I watched like most of the first period, and then I got kind of busy with stuff after that. But they were all scoping it for the most part, man.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
cool seeing Mark Davis like sneak up there, though. He's like one of my idols. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's he doing? Didn't even
Yeah.
turn it on the whole time.
No, he didn't. Him and Bobby Lane were the only two that never opted to use
That's
it.
cool, dude. I think you're going to see that a lot this season. I think some guys are like, I don't need it.
Well, they ran
Go
it up first period. Like, you could tell, dude, like Jacob Wheeler and Dustin Connell, like these dudes they didn't have time to talk to the camera. They knew that it was time to get right in the scope period, and they did. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
they were
Jacob
like,
Wheeler put up like
man.
he put up over 50 pounds in the first period, and then ended the day with like 58. Like, they were, basically saying it's very hard to get a bite without scoping. And it's funny because, like, I've heard people deem Conroe as not really like a scope lake. And I'm like, y'all just don't understand. Like, every lake, you can do it on every lake. And that's what happened, dude. Like, a lot of guys got off to a big, big lead. And guys like Takahiro, who, he did utilize it one period, but he didn't really have to. Like, he was really just smashing on him on chatterbait. Like,
right, like he had it on just to, like, maybe familiarize himself or where he needed to put his boat or something like that.
Yep. And Nick LeBrun, he smashed him today. He's obviously in the lead. Like, they caught him, dude. They caught him really good. So,
Conroe's a good lake, dude. Conroe's got him, man. It's got some big fish in it. I think Scroggins had big fish of the day. I didn't watch much of it. I just heard he caught like a heavy 9, almost 10 or something. And somebody in the office was like, "Oh yeah, Scroggins." I was like, I bet Scroggins caught on chatterbait in the grass. And then I saw like a short little clip of it. I think he caught on a spinning rod.
I don't know.
I swear I saw a clip and he caught on a spinning rod. I can't confirm that, but I'm sure somebody knows.
Yeah. Well, basically, one area is just dominating the.
Don't even say it, dude. You're gonna ruin it. I'm trying to, like, Conroe's my new home lake. Don't ruin it.
You already know. We've already fished a derby. They're the same area dominated in that one. Like, it's just an area thing. Like, they're just smashing on them, man. And those fish can't handle pressure at Conroe, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this one plays out. Because
that creek's done for the rest of the first half of the year, because there's probably so many people out there watching these guys, and they're just going to be out there just beating all that crap up.
It is very interesting, though. Like,
I saw some comments that were like, "Yep, that creek's done for a month." I was like, I'm like, remember that creek?
Takahiro just kept saying like he left that area, and he was like, when he came back, like MDJ and all these other guys were still in there just smashing on him. He's like, there's so many fish in here. He's like, you just like, he tried to expand and he just didn't really expand much. And he got back in there and he caught another good one. He's seeing people, like, there's people catching fish everywhere through there.
Yeah.
But he's like, I mean, literally hundreds of bass came out of there on the score tracker. It'll be very interesting. But it was it was very entertaining, like, from the viewer aspect, because it is something different. Like, it's something that we haven't seen yet. And a lot of the guys that were using scope in the first period, they took such a big lead that you were just like, man, like, I don't even know that it matters if they catch a bass the rest of the time, and they're going to be in the top 10. And that's, a lot of them did hold on to the top 10 with, just utilizing 2.5 hours of forward-facing sonar. And they really, really struggled afterwards. So it was, I don't know, it was really interesting to see. Nick LeBrun was the only guy who really caught him in the forward-facing sonar round, and then caught even more weight in the next two periods. So it's definitely interesting dynamic, man. That's for sure.
Yeah,
it is. I wonder how it'll be over multiple days. That's what I'm curious about.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But it'll get better because the field will
cut the field.
Start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some guys will really be able to make some hay there.
Well, man, let's Tyler. One thing we always kind of start off with, and we hadn't had you on yet, but we kind of want to hear how everyone becomes a professional angler, and how do you go from being you're from Maine, correct?
Yeah.
Dude, how's a guy from Maine become an Elite Series pro?
A dream. I don't really know. I jumped in the opens mostly. Like, I did really well in Maine. There's some good fishermen, but I was kind of like on a roll for a couple of years.
Dude, I don't even have bass in Maine.
There's big bass in Maine. Big largemouth too, surprisingly.
Largemouth, yeah.
Like, everybody's like, is it smallmouth? I'm like, no, it's like 20, 25 pounds of largemouth quite often, sometimes more.
A lot of
Damn.
grass fisheries there.
There's grass, but it's like a lot of the big fish will be like offshore boulders and like 20, 30 foot of water. Like, that's how I got so good at like fishing a jig and rock, because it's like
Okay.
everybody's a jig fisherman at home. And then I jumped in the opens. Like, when I jumped in the opens, I didn't really quite understand the elite qualification or any of that kind of stuff. I just knew that they were big tournaments. So I was like, I want to fish the northern division, because I knew some guys that did it. I'm like, I want to see how it'll go. And then, like, after 2 events, James River and Oneida, I was in like, I think 11th place in points or something like that in the division. I was 19 at the time, and I was like, wait a minute, holy cow. Like, I didn't even know. I was like months after I even fished or a month after I fished the tournament, I like looked at the points.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. But
Yeah.
then tried a full season and then didn't do so well. I had a lot to learn. And then even the season I qualified, like, there was a big difference between me at the start and then me like halfway through the season. And I'd say from like Eufaula on, after my first top 10, like, that's when I kind of felt like I knew what was going on at a lot of these lakes. But I had spent a month at Lake of the Ozarks and just like fished every day and like dealt with boat traffic and all the things I never had to deal with before. And I guess I got a lot better in that time.
Yeah.
Learned a lot.
Yeah, it'll bring it out of you, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, me and Shane talk about it all the time on here about how difficult the opens really are. You know, especially when it was you had to fish all 9 to make it. Like the past few years, I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably one of the harder events that really exists in all of tournament bass fishing. You know, so
For sure. And it seems like you'll be like, oh, I got it next year. And then it gets even harder the next year. And it's like you
Yeah.
kind of get stuck in that little loop almost.
yeah,
No, it's crazy. Speaking of the opens, how many boats did you hear were at Clark's Hill?
Wasn't there like 166 or 168 or something like that?
yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about that new format versus
I don't know.
going through the gauntlet of all 9?
Right. The gauntlet was like I don't know. That was tough. That was a long season. I don't
Yeah.
know what to think of this new format. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
I
We'll
just
see
wish
how
they'd stop changing it so you can compare like every year of like rookie class. Be like, oh, that one's better than this one, or this one's better than that one. But where it changes so much, you can't really tell.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think the 2 rookie classes that came out of the all 9, I mean, your rookie class and then this class that's coming in with you boys next year is like,
Yeah.
dang, dude.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird because it's like the wave of the young guys that you had like maybe heard about before. Like, you kind of thought like, oh, that kid's really good. He's won a bunch of stuff, and then they got in. Like, everybody finally got to that age. It seemed like I'm fortunate to be part of that.
Yeah.
How old are you, Tyler?
I just turned 23 and almost like end of November.
Okay. Young
I was,
man.
yeah, I think I was second or third youngest last year on the series.
Yeah. Yeah, that
That's
was
crazy, dude. Like
If we
normally, like
didn't have,
23 would be like one of the youngest ones for sure.
yeah, if we didn't have Trey, I would have been the young guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Man.
crazy.
So what did you think of your first year on the elites?
It was it was a long season. It was quicker than the opens. Like, the opens felt like it was 6 years long,
Yeah.
just that one season. But it was kind of like, definitely got tired in some events, things like that. Like 3 days of practice, no day off, going right to the tournament, like stuff like that. Just all the preparation that went into it. Definitely got me a couple times.
Yeah. Were
But
you nervous at all? Like what did you like after going through the opens? I feel like that's honestly, I did like the all 9 because of that. I felt like,
Yeah.
their whole argument was like, we want to make you Elite Series ready. And I think they legitimately did a good job of that. Like, okay, like if you can do this, you can do the elites.
That's it was like going through the opens, especially how the end of my season went. It was kind of like, okay, like I know how to top 10 now, but like,
Oh yeah.
what are the elites going to be like? And then the Toledo, I was kind of like, maybe not hesitant, but I'm just kind of stood off a little bit and just fished. Didn't like do anything too crazy. And I'm like, I want to just feel this out for the first one, because I'm one of those people too that like I want to know how the weigh-in works. I want to know how like where you beat your boat, like all this kind of stuff, like all the preparation too. And then after the first one at Toledo, I was like, okay, I know how it works. And then Fork, like how it did, I was like, all right, we're back.
Yeah.
And then
Heck yeah.
Fork, and then Harris, and I got on a little roll for a while there.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of, you brought up your the last events. What did run me through again? What your finishes were like on the last set of?
So
Like it was some crazy run, dude. How many
yeah,
top
so
tens do you have in the last half of the
top
opens?
10, 4 out of my last 5.
Jeez.
And I saw Eufaula, I got 4th, and then St. Lawrence I bombed, which I still want to count Eufaula, just because like it was part of it.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And then Watts Bar I won, Ozarks I think I got like 8th or 9th, and then Harris Chain I got 9th.
Jeez.
And Harris was like, I caught my limit the second day, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm going in 2 hours early. Like the only thing that can stop me now is a breakdown. Like I kind of stopped trying, to be honest.
Wow.
But that's a trick. That last one's tricky because like in the position I was like you got a shot at winning the tournament here, but like you're like everything's going on. You want to be ultra safe. It's kind of
Yeah.
a interesting tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
No,
You got some guys who are already in, who are just like they could sleep at like launch their boat and go to bed if they want, and then you got guys who are trying to win the tournament to get in. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you feel like maybe going into the opens and then throughout the course of that season last year, you kind of found like your identity in a way, like
Yeah,
a lot of people are gonna deem you as just like a jig guy. Obviously, you've done damage with a jig and stuff like that, but like you have to be like you gotta be pretty versatile too. Like you gotta
right.
you gotta do other things and stuff like that. So like I think a lot of people struggle right now with maybe not necessarily everyone, but I think people do struggle with this identity thing, like you know more the traditional style fishing versus using your live scope versus using technology, like, and even when maybe they're not using live scope and they are doing more of a traditional style, maybe they're up shallow, power fishing, slow fishing, whatever they may be doing, but it's still in their head
Right.
about people out there beating them with live scope. So like we're in a
Right.
weird spot in the sport. So I feel like finding an identity can be different in these times. So like how was
Yeah.
that for you? Do you feel like you did that to the opens and you carried that with you from there, or what did that look like for you?
I think so. I started to find it on like Hartwell the year before, like my first, like I was in 4th after the first day and then dropped to 11th by 1 ounce. But like that was my first like throwing a jig at fish, catching some big fish. And I'm like, I can do. Then we went to Sam Rayburn and I like finished 22nd, which this is a season of like hundredths. And then all of a sudden I
Yeah.
get a couple good ones. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try that next year. Then you follow. I kind of like a 25th at the time was a really good finish. So I was like, oh, all right, like survived this one. And then Toledo didn't go great, but I also like still didn't know what I know now, if that makes sense, about lakes like that.
100%.
And then it just kind of like I got rolling, and then it was like middle of the summer, Lake of the Ozarks, when I really like was like, okay, I can read fish now, like I can catch them with this. Like I don't like I think too many people are worried about what somebody else is doing, and I'm like, I don't care what anybody else is doing now. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
do what I do.
Mm.
So like if somebody would say something at the dock, I'd be like, oh, that's cool, nice. Like I know I'm gonna go throw a jig at a brush pile and scan for brush for 6 hours in practice, that
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get wrapped up in that, man. I mean, and I can see why, like, especially some of these guys
Right.
that have fished a certain way for so long. I mean, it can be difficult, but really, in the
It
grand scheme of
is.
things, what you just said is a big deal. Like, just getting too wrapped up in what somebody else is doing is
Oh, dude,
not going to help
dog
you.
talk can be bad.
Dock talk is bad.
Oh, it is, dude. There's some manipulation that goes on in some of that,
Dude, in the
man. Like
opens,
everybody's
like
playing a little bit of game.
Yeah, like nobody's really that good of friends because everybody's trying to get one of those spots. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I want to root for you, but you got to have like 2 pounds less than I had.
Yeah. Like I'll throw you a little bone, but I'm not gonna throw you the whole thing.
Right, like I don't want to see you suck. It's just I got to
Yeah.
try to do better. I'm
Yeah.
not really like that, but I see it happen a lot.
No. So
I do.
do you talk? Do you have like in the opens, for example, did you have like a little group of buddies that you kind of like? I mean, like you said, you talk to
Yeah.
them, but you kind of like, like, all right, I get it. We're competitors. We're friends, but we're also competitors. Do you have like,
Right.
or
It
compared to
was
the opens to now in the elites, are you more like, I'm gonna do my own thing?
like yes and no. Like I will go do my own thing, but we get like a little group that's like we let everybody know what's going on because now it's kind of like you're living, so you gotta get a paycheck pretty much. Try to get people on, and with 4 days of fishing and so many variables and stuff like that, it's like if you're gonna win one of these, it's gonna happen like that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it
yeah.
seems like a little less gets hidden. It gets hidden a lot from the other people, but like within our group, everybody's a lot tighter.
Oh, that's cool.
But all the rookies kind of like our whole class kind of stuck together a little bit. It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think y'all kind of, and again, we're not trying to dive too much into that, but it was a weird dynamic this year. It seemed like the rookies were kind of pitted against veterans, if you will, the guys that aren't rookies, and it was kind of a weird dynamic this year. But it was cool to see you guys come in there and kick some ass, to be honest. So
It was cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's when it comes down to it, it's fishing. It's like
Yeah.
dude,
it is what
fishing's
it
supposed
is.
to be fun. It's a
Yeah,
great sport, and regardless, I mean, it was cool to watch you guys absolutely catch them. But
it's
So
fun.
I had some which I knew we were going to get to this at some point in the show about, techniques and stuff like that, but we can just kind of sprinkle it in throughout the
Yeah.
show. Like I know that the jig deal is a big deal for you, and you've discussed this, like what kind of jigs you use and stuff like that. You keep it very simple, which I really
Yeah.
like. But like going into an event, do you feel like you really go in there looking for that based on each fishery, or are you just because so many fisheries that you go to are just so different? So I don't know how you can make it work ever. Maybe you do. Maybe you're just
I
that guy with a
do.
jig. But how do you go about trying to make that work at all these different type of fisheries and stuff like that?
It's it's kind of everybody calls it like Tyler stuff. Like people are like, "What the heck is he fishing?" Like that kind of thing. But like I'm the first person. Like live scope's one thing, but if I had no side scan, I'd probably be pretty hurt without side scan because
Yeah,
I'm the guy that I'll go idle for if there's like 20 hours of daylight, I'll go idle for like 18 of them, like that kind of thing.
really. Even on a place
Like
you've never been, like
yeah, like I have
show
no
up first day of elite practice, start
like
idling.
I have no fear. Like I'll go fish stuff I've never seen before if I have it marked, like that kind of thing. Like random brush piles I've never seen. I fish a lot of brush and rock, and I'll just start putting waypoints down because you always stick them in practice. You find a spot and then you catch a big one off of it, and then you never catch one again. So I'm like, if I just go mark everything in practice during the tournament, the odds of me catching a fresh fish are going to be pretty good. And
I like
Yeah,
it
that.
works most of the time. Murray's the only place I've never been like I wasn't able to force a jig bite to at least survive. I was like, huh. Even the St. John's, like I only got 1 day of practice ever being on that place, and I like kind of found it a little bit, made do mixing into jerk bait and stuff, but
Yeah,
like I was able to find something that I could roll with. But there's gonna be those ones that are like they just won't bite it. But
yeah.
yeah.
I
So do you like? How many fish would you say you stick in practice? Do you even set the hook at all in practice, or are you like, I'm not even going to pick up a rod, or I'm going to shake them off if I get them to bite it? What's
it,
your?
dep- it depends what kind of lake, because there's some that I'm like I get kind of excited and I'll start sticking them. But then there's some that I'm like, I understand this one. This is very important not to stick any because like doing
Right.
my deal, sometimes I only get 5 or 6 bites all day if I'm
Yeah,
trying to force what I do. I'm
yeah,
like, it's bad because like I'll see everybody fishing something. I'll be like, that's probably what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'll just keep going look for my thing the whole time.
Well,
Just
that's good.
less people and it's
That's
fun.
that's good. What about places like like a Champlain or an Ontario though, where that you have to have 4 5+ pounders to compete? Like, That would if you didn't catch enough fish in practice. To me, it'd be like I don't know if I'm around 3-pounders that do me absolutely no good, or if I'm around 4 and 5-pounders that I have to have in this.
Good question.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like growing up in Maine. It's really like Champlain's almost Maine, so like I kind of know. I know exactly kind of what big ones set up on. You don't always catch them, don't get me wrong, but I do know how to go find them on a place like that.
Okay.
Now, a place like the St. Lawrence, I'm kind of just winging it. I'm like doing my best.
Yeah.
But it should be. I'm excited to go up there this year with no scope, no like local hammers in it. I'm like, this is gonna be fun because I'm always the guy that like I'll go catch a 6-pound largemouth just for fun, just to say I weighed one in, like that kind of thing.
Dude, that's wild. That's wild.
I had one the first day of the elite because I knew I was in the classic and I knew I couldn't really move up or down much in points, and I'm like, I got a largemouth spot. I'm gonna go try it. My first fish was like a 5 3/4. I was
No
like,
kidding.
sweet. And then another 4 and another 3, and it like went down from there. But I was like, this is cool.
So would you like? So when you roll out for a derb, no matter where you're at, do you have like your front deck? Is it mainly just jigs, like straight up, or do you have?
It's usually like 1 or 2 jig rods, and then maybe some other stuff if I feel like trying it. But I'm like, even in the big tournaments, I'm probably like the most unserious angler out there. Like I'll just go out to mess around and try stuff. Like usually I can. And most of the time, if you ask my dad too, like when we fish, I'll never have a fish at like 11 o'clock. But then like if I'm gonna win, I'm done by 1 o'clock. Like it just all of a sudden I kind of wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should go catch some fish now. It's funny.
It helps you, man. Though, like fishing, like if you can hone that carefree, like just having a fun time attitude, like the guys that get like really wrapped up and stressed out or really anxious about the event, like it weighs on you heavy. And if you can really hone that, like John Cox seems to do a really good job of that. I see a lot of that in you, where it's just like just having fun, like honing that really positive vibe, like that positive energy. It goes a long ways in tournament bass fishing, like a long.
Well, I mean, it's like you're always going somewhere new, and you're getting to like see like all these lakes that are Bassmaster top 100, like stuff like that. Like I'm traveling around fishing some of the best lakes. Like I'm gonna enjoy it while I'm there.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Sometimes I think they're the worst lakes, but it's like usually end up okay.
Yeah.
But I also like if I'm gonna do it, if I had a season, especially I think after the opens, like instead of being consistent, I think I'd rather top 10 3 and bomb 3, but then you're remembered for top 10ing 3 rather than getting 6 checks in a row.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes it exciting. Because it is entertainment.
Yeah, for sure. Well, talk to us a little about so you're fishing the NPFL this year, right?
Yeah.
Along with the Elite Series, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fishing them
So
both.
talk to us a little bit about that decision. Like what, you just wanting to fish more and try something different? I mean,
pretty much. I was kind of like, it was like 2 a.m. one night, and I kind of like got frisky, and I was like, I'm gonna try something. Like I'm thinking about the places, like the schedule. I'm like, I like that place. I like that place. I like that place. I'm like, oh well, like screw it. I'm gonna go do it. Like that kind of thing. It was like a complete impulse decision. And I'm like, I'll just try it. There's no
So
real. Like
the
I don't
no
have
scope
anything.
thing doesn't really bother you in that deal. Like it just.
Not really. No, you just give me a brush pile and a jig. I can maybe some side scan. Even if it was just a map with a waypoint, I'd go fish offshore. Like I'm still committed to offshore.
Yeah.
He's like us, dude. He likes to put that side imaging to work.
Yeah, that's a lot like what we do.
I'm fat. I don't like standing up all day. If I can sit in my seat and just go look, that's what I want to do.
Dude, we spend more time on side imaging than anything else, man. That's what we know it, dude. We understand it, and that's honestly like that kind of work, man.
Yeah. I also like in Maine too. Like I don't want to be cocky saying it, but I was winning a lot of tournaments, and it was to the point that like if I was out there scanning, like I'd have to go see a fish on a boulder with my side scan. Like if I stood up and went to fish it with like in practice, like it would be gone. That like somebody else would see me and go fish it. So I was like, I'm just sitting there idling the whole time, just looking and looking and looking and looking. Like I've no rods on my deck, not even fish at all. Just start looking for stuff and be like, okay, I think this is what's going on.
Yeah, no, we totally understand that, man. Like our philosophy is if we can outwork people, and that's whether that's trolling motor down or trolling motor up and some seat time. But like that's kind of our deal, man. And
Right, like the discipline. And you wouldn't really think like sitting down at your console would be like discipline, but like you like see that patch, like say you're in Florida, you see that patch of lily pads, you want to go flip it where you should be looking for shell bars. It's like just not getting distracted and sticking with the plan. It's kind
Oh
of
yeah, it can be. Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's like freaking manual labor, like I'm out there,
right.
in the
no, it's
freaking oil field
fun.
or something. But like it
Right.
is work. I mean, it does take a lot of discipline, and it
It
is.
is.
Me and Shane really
Like,
understand. I mean, I sold one of my cats with 860 hours on it, and another one with 600 hours on it. So like, and it's
yeah.
all idle time.
Yeah,
Like it's
those are
just,
1 to 2 year old boats.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that's just how it is, and us
My
being
other
down here.
speeder, I got it the first year, so it's 3 years old now. It's a 2022, but it's got like 1,600 hours on it.
Oh my god.
Jeez.
Yeah,
All
it's a
right.
champ
Yeah.
though. I can't kill it. The thing runs
Dang.
That's the
great.
boat you're still running?
I'm running a new one this year, but the same one I ran last year. So like I
Yeah.
ran the boat that I started the opens in, qualified for the elites in, fished my first elite season out of. Like it was the same boat the whole time.
So that wasn't a
I just
bug, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Speeder Yamaha. The
Yeah.
first
Wow.
like the when the new SHO came out, like 2022, one of the first ones. It's an awesome boat. I still
Oh,
have it.
dude.
It's like it's a weird thing because it's like it's paid off. It doesn't owe me anything. It's kind of a hard sell because it's got so many hours on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not hurting anything, right?
It's the
When I'm paying
workhorse,
out.
man.
Yeah.
Right,
Have that have that
like
work boat.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
like old reliable.
Right.
That's awesome.
So I want to go back to the jig, dude. I want to break down the jig just a little
Boy,
bit more, dude.
it
Come on,
might
man.
bug you how simple I keep it.
Well, no,
Like,
but I mean, I think it's super important for people to hear that. You know what I mean? Just how simple. Like I think as anglers, we have a tendency to overthink a lot of things, man. Like
yeah.
I'd like to know more on some of the specifics of the jig that you look for and what jig you like and what jig and what trailer you like. But like, break down, even go as in depth as you're willing to, as far as like, I like my line tie like this. I like it perpendicular hook, parallel hook. I like it this angle. I like my brush card to be like this. Like, break
Right.
down your jig for us.
It's just a big archy jig. It's
Yeah.
not really anything too crazy. I pretty much, I started off with a greenfish crawball, and I really like that jig because I mean, it's boulders at home and stuff, and you're not getting hung up very much. Just if you're hung up, you're losing the jig no matter what. So like that's what I started with, and then John at Greenfish, he like showed me this archy jig, and the first tournament I went and fished with it, I want to say it was Wheeler in the opens, and like it would come through the stumps, come through the brush without getting hung up, and I didn't realize how many fish I was missing because I was getting hung up and stuff. And then I started throwing that one, and it's got like kind of a lighter wire hook, which scares some people. But like
Mhm.
I mess up my hook sets half the time. Like I can't have a cap. Like I'll be at the top of a drag or something like that, and
Oh
it goes
yeah.
boom, and I'm like, uh-oh. I get it that way. But I haven't bent it out on any fish, and it works. I don't know. It skips good. Like I've learned either it skips good or I've learned how to skip it. One of the two.
Yeah. Yeah. What size is that? Well, like an Arky head for one, probably on the jig, probably comes through cover better than any style head. And another thing is a
Yeah.
lot wire hook. Like me being a guide a little bit, if my clients are going to throw a jig, most times it's a
Right.
football jig where we're at, but I want them to have a light wire jig because they don't have to set the hook very hard. So it actually is a benefit having a lighter wire hook on a jig. A lot of
It is,
people
as long as
don't.
you get the right one, because there is some that just fold out, and you're
Yeah,
like,
they're
Oh
too
yeah.
light. Yeah.
yeah.
How heavy of
Um,
is that? Do you have different sizes, like half, 3/4? You said a big jig, so you making a fall rate pretty fast, or what? What size?
yeah, usually like 3/4 is like what I'm gonna
Yeah,
throw everywhere. I've recently started throwing it's either 3/4 or 3/8, and it's the same jig. Like if I need it to go slow, like I need it really slow, if that makes sense.
yeah.
And then I don't throw a half very often. I don't know. I just
So
don't like the feel of it.
So how do you adjust your trailer? So like ready to fall is important. So like break that down if you're willing to, obviously. And you can at any time if you feel like
Yeah.
just be like, hey
No,
dude,
it's all
you're getting a
good.
little too deep here.
Dude, I
But I
keep
mean,
it so simple. Like it might bug you because like I just throw the same flapping hog everywhere. Like I don't
okay,
Okay.
care.
so Yamamoto
Like
flapping hog.
yeah, like I might have to switch up this year in the NPFL because a lot of times like if I'm having to change the fall rate, like I'll just like like shake it on the fall or like I use my line diameter more than I use the weight. Like if I
Okay.
need to slow it down a little bit, I'll go to like 25-pound Tatsu. Usually I throw 22. But if I need it like fast, I'm like 17-ish.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
usually
So,
just the same thing.
all right, so let's talk forward-facing sonar for a second. Like when you see a fish on forward-facing sonar, how many are? Let me start with this. How many jigs do you normally have tied up? Like it's Derby day. It's time to go catch these fish.
Usually just one, to be honest with you.
Okay, so by then you've dialed in like what your
Yeah.
fall rate is. Like, what do you
Like-
do if like you got 25 on with a 3/4 and you're like, no, that's not the rate of fall I want. Do you just bust out another rod on the rod locker?
Yeah, usually I'll start with 22, and if
Okay.
I have to go to 25, 22 is usually my number. Just because it
Yeah.
is Tatsu, so it's kind of like
yeah, thinner.
not like a true 20. Like it's not that big, thick 22.
Yeah.
So it fishes pretty good. It fishes probably like 20.
Dude, Tyler's
And
throwing that big line.
dude, I
Yeah.
don't like. I'd rather land them when I get the bite than lose them and get
Yeah.
more bites.
But like you said, Tatsu's it's a thinner diameter
Thinner for a 25.
compared to like
It
Invisix
is.
or
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sticking on the forward face sonar thing. So you talk about side imaging a lot and brush and all that.
Yeah.
So you're not watching all these fish eat all the time.
No, not
Like a lot of
usually.
people, when they think of scoping, right? Like they think of most of the time, a lot of people automatically go to a minnow, which is fine. Like we do it, a
Yeah.
lot of people do it. But that's like throwing to one and usually watching it eat and working a fish and all that.
Right.
And I know you probably do some of that on a jig as well. I know we have. We've actually thrown to
definitely.
individual fish and made them go down on a jig. But like,
Yeah.
what would you say? Would you say you're seeing a lot of these fish like actually nose down in your jig and eat it, or are you just mainly like just using scope to line up your cast? Like, what does that look like for you?
It's a good mix. Like I stare at it so much that obviously when I throw into a brush pile, like I can see a dot go through the pile, but like
Yeah,
I would have fished that the same way
right,
anyways, whether I
100%.
saw it or not. Like you pull up and you'll tick the brush and all of a sudden you see one go down and you're like, well, I would have just let it fall. So that was part of like the NPFL thing. I was like, well, I mean, just fish and brush. Like it's not
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever you decide to fish. I'm like, I can do that. Try it. But like with forward facing, it's kind of like fork. I was throwing a white jig. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I was like,
no, I
that
don't.
was like those were like guys like fishing for minnow fish and stuff. But like I picked up my same jig and I had some tied in white, and I was like, took the weed guard out of it and I put like some sort of shad on the back. I don't remember what it was. I just picked it up off my carpet and I was
Like a
like,
paddle tail or like a straight
like,
tail?
like a straight tail. I don't
Okay.
remember which one it was though, because like I didn't really even have any in the boat. Like I just like I was gonna throw
Yeah.
a jig the whole time, and then I like shook it across one and hooked it, and it was like an 8-pounder, and I was like, I ain't throwing a minnow. Like I'm gonna throw a jig, a
I'll throw
22-pound
that jig.
test, with white jig, just swimming it past it, and then like I hooked another one that was probably like 11 or 12 pounds, and I was like giggling, trying to take a video of it beside the boat, not landing or anything, and it popped off, and I was like, oh whatever, and then I didn't use it. I think I didn't practice 2 days after that. Like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna live or die doing this, and then I went and did it and got a century belt doing it and got fourth in the event.
What?
Between
So
that and a brown one.
that white jig was
That was what it
primarily
was 50-50. Like in the beginning,
yeah.
there was more fish out, and then I was throwing the white jig a lot the first 2 days. I caught like 30 pounds 7 ounces and 30 pounds 9 ounces doing that. And then as it warmed up and as it went, it seemed like they got shallower, got tighter to brush piles and stuff. And that's when I was throwing like the brown jig, and I caught like almost 34 pounds one day on the brown jig. I was like, this
Jesus
is cool. Just
Christ.
off the bottom. Like I was like, oh my, like you could feel the teeth on your line before you even set the hook, and you're like, oh my gosh. Like,
Wow,
getting
bro.
ready
That's
for it.
so
It's
those
fun.
those suspenders and stuff like those ones that were kind of more roamers, you using that white jig to actually make them come up on it, but the other
Yeah,
jig you're making
it
them go
was the
down on
same fish that people were throwing a minnow at. I just really didn't want to throw a minnow. I was just
Just
kind
giving
of
them
like,
something different to look at.
yeah, I mean, I can whack them on the hook set. And I know they're coming in the boat. Like, I'm not gonna have to mess with them.
it.
So it's like I was like I've always been scared of boat flipping anything like over 4 or 5 pounds, and it got to the point where they're like between having like the judge or like the guy weighing the fish in the side, like you couldn't get to the console easily. So I just started boat flipping everything under 7. I was like, at this point, like, I'll just go catch another one if I have to, that kind of thing. I
Yeah,
caught one like 9-pound 9 ouncer, and it flew out of the water like a smallmouth on that white jig. Like I shook it and hooked it. I was like, oh, it's gonna jump, and it flew like 5 foot out of the water with its mouth closed. I was like, like it's the biggest fish I'd seen in a long time. Other than that one, I like lost playing with it.
Yeah.
It was a crazy week, but like I don't know, like I'll do anything not to have to do what everybody else is doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking awesome, dude.
No, that's super cool.
Like part of it too is I don't really like throwing a lot of different rods, and I'm like, I'm just gonna keep like 1 or 2 in my hand all day. Like just roll with it. I've been organizing tackle for the last month, and I'm like, there's definitely some things I'm like gonna throw, because there is some times where I'm like, okay, like I really probably should throw a drop shot or a worm instead of the jig after seeing like 30 fish nose up on it and not bite it.
So was that white jig at Fork? Was that something you had done before, or something you just kind of came up with while you were there?
I started doing it at Toledo, and I was like, I wonder if like this will work, and then it started working. I was like, like, this is cool.
So another thing I was going to ask you too about the forward facing sonar deal. Like, let's say they are roamers and they're not in brush. Like, they're not holding to a piece of cover. They actually are nomads, right? Like, they're just out there roaming. How high will a fish be in the water column that you'll actually try to go down on a jig? Like, what is your, like, if you see one, you're like, all right, I'm in 20 foot and this fish is 5 foot below the surface. Like, that's too far. Or is it like, are you just going to see how they're reacting? Because me and Shane do a lot of this too, where it's like, well, do we want to make them come up? We want to make them go down. Like, so how is that with you on like, especially a big jig like that with a very fast rate of fall?
Typically, like throughout practice, you'll get enough chances to like try stuff. So I'm like,
Okay.
like every fish, I'll try to like take a little bit of info from and be like, okay, he chased it this far and then swam away. I'm like, what if I slow it down? And then sometimes they'll eat it or just get the claws or something. Like, I'll just like, usually you get enough time in practice. That's the kind of stuff that I'll look for if it's that kind of fishing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like every time there's been that kind of fishing, I'm like doing my own thing in the corner. Like Smith Lake, everybody was out in 100 foot of water chasing spots, and I'm like, I think there's like 10 largemouth in this lake. I'm gonna try to weigh in, and I went and caught 'em.
Did you do good in that one?
Yeah, I ended up somehow I think I was at 30 something at one point, and then I snuck into 10th going into the last day, and then I ended up 5th with the big bag. And I was like,
Wow.
I messed up the first day, and that's all. I thought I was gonna win that event as soon as the schedule came out. I was like, all right, that's my type of fishing right there. Like, when like 12 pounds is a good day, like that kind of thing. Because usually I can catch a limit.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, that's open style stuff. And I just messed up the first day, but then I somehow like snuck in there those other couple days, and
That's
then
awesome.
caught him pretty good the last day. I had like 14 something. It was like the 4th biggest bag of the week or something like that. And it was on the last day, so it was kind of tricky.
Yeah,
But that was
impressive, dude, to catch a big bag like that on the final day.
Right. Like there was one day in practice, I was like, I looked out and I see Greg Hackney, and he's like 90 foot of water chasing those fish, and I'm like, huh, like that's crazy. And I'm going down a bank, flipping the bank with a jig and catching them, and I'm like, we're in the wrong places. Like I need to be out there and you need to be in here. Like, that kind of thing.
Swap roles.
Yeah, like this is weird. But it was funny.
Man, that's wild how simple I don't know, man. I just feel like there's just not. I don't know. I think you're the one and only. Like,
I don't know.
Tyler,
Just do stuff.
Tyler Greenfish Williams. That's you, bro. Like, because a lot of people just ain't. They're just not. We here at Rayburn and Toledo, we scoped with a jig. Like, we've done it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how confident I would feel if they're
well,
like,
dude,
right,
like, so
here's your 3/4 ounce jig. You got to make everyone you see bite.
Yeah,
I don't know how good I feel going out.
I'm working for him. Don't get me wrong. Like it's not just like I love when one's easy, but
yeah. No, I get that.
You got it down to a science, though, dude.
Yeah,
you got it down to a science. Like for us, throwing a jig, like we do it. Like we do it. We've caught a lot of big fish and we catch a lot of money fish on it. But it's very simple. It's 20-pound tatsu, 3/4 ounce jig, same trailer. Like they either go down and eat it or they don't. And then I pick something else. We're gonna pick a different bait. We're either gonna pull them up off bottom with a minnow, or we'll run a crankbait in their face or something else. We'll try everything else. I mean, and on the forward-facing sonar thing, that's a great point right now. Is like so many people get so focused on like finesse techniques, like minnow, drop shot. You don't have to use finesse techniques. You can apply old school fishing to new school technology. And we do it a lot.
there's like another thing too that's like, I don't know if you've ever looked at my weights, but like if I'm gonna catch a certain weight, it's like I catch that weight every single day, if that makes sense. Like I'm always
gotcha.
within a pound or two, and I think it's because like I'll go mark so many spots and just I'll throw a jig at them, and if they don't bite, I'll just go to the next one. And then the next day I get that fish to bite on a jig, and I'm like, oh sweet, like some of that stuff. Like I don't burn up too many fish.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that way.
I
But
just think
no, I mean,
I think people deem people as like this scoper thing. It's just it's crazy to me, dude. Like this
It is.
that terminology, like labeling somebody strictly as a scoper just because they're utilizing something that's very legal and obviously a
Right.
um, very deadly technique. Like it is powerful. There's no
but the
denying that.
science he's got behind it, dude, as far as like, I need to throw this size line with this size head to get this kind of reaction on this kind of
But
day.
to be fair, like we just broke down, like in the NPFL situation, like a lot of these fish are catching, you really don't have to have it. You're just doing it to be more efficient, really.
Right. It's like
Like
time management.
yeah, and but it's a weird dynamic because like it seems like some people are okay as if you're using live scope as long as you're not catching suspended ones with a minnow. That's
Right.
like you
I was gonna
if
say
you do
like I
that, you're a
really
scoper for
yeah,
sure.
like I know some people like will call me a scoper, but I really haven't got like the hate comments and all that stuff as much as like I see on some people's posts, and I'm like,
Oh yeah,
There shouldn't be any of that anyway, dude.
there shouldn't, but I've like, all right, I'm just chilling. Like once in a while there'll be something, and I'm
That's
like,
because
oh,
you're jacking them on 25-pound test, dude. People
I
are
try
like,
to make it fun at
dude.
least. Like if I'm gonna do it, I'll make it entertaining.
what
Yeah.
did you what did you think about the new elite rule? You know, going to one forward facing sonar, transducer only. Not that it really I think is going to make a significant difference. But what did you think about that when you saw it? You're just like, oh, whatever. Like,
I
doesn't
was
really.
yeah, I was all just whatever, one of those kind of things. I'm
Just
like,
let me
Yeah.
go
I'm
fishing.
right. I'm more for less rules than more rules, just because I like how many things you have to think about, and micromanage. But I'm like, I don't really care. Just
Do
go
you think
fish.
that changes anything in the results?
I don't with the fisheries we have next year. No,
Yeah.
with those, if we had a lot of like suspended fish, like where the LVS 62 was coming into play, with guys seeing like 200 foot out and then chasing them down, like I could say yeah there, but where we're like, it's mostly going to be like shallow fishing.
Yeah.
Like maybe St. Clair is the only one that might change, but I don't think it will change at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Got you. Hmm.
But I know I like with the graph setup and stuff, the 55 inches, I'm happy. I just get to run one graph with the console. I'm like, sweet. Like I don't have to worry about a whole bunch of things now.
Yeah.
What unit do you like to run for your side imaging and all that? That's your console.
I've got an 18-inch MBT at my console.
There you go.
Okay.
Went off a 8700 box and then a GCV box with the 30 something 36 or whatever transducer.
Oh
It's
yeah,
clear.
GT36.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like going into
Yeah.
the box, it is clear. I'm like, all right,
Oh yeah.
this is like the clearest side scan I've ever had. I'm like, this is gonna be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one 18-inch unit will do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of guys running NBTs at the console.
No,
I haven't seen that.
dude, yeah. So I'm the guy that like I like having one big graph at the console, but like second event of the year, it's usually cracked. And like the MVT, you can throw a piece like brick at it, and it probably won't crack. I've already hit like 3 jigs off of it, and nothing's happened. I'm like, yes, like, this thing's tough.
So you run an NBT up front too?
Yeah, I've got an 18-inch MBT up front, and then I'm gonna be running a 19 Apex for 360. So
Nice.
it's just 3 big graphs.
Three
I mean,
biggins.
yep, right at 55.
Nice.
Dang.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I wasn't gonna do the big hummingbird, but I'm like, oh, I can only use a 360 in the one, and I'm like, people are gonna complain no matter what, whether it's a 16 or a 19, if I'm using any electronics. So I'm gonna just put a 19 on.
Might as well get with the biggest one you can.
A big 360, pinging as
Right.
fast as I can get it to ping.
No doubt.
But
That's
I
what's
don't
up,
know.
man.
It'll be
Yeah.
cool. Should be
Man,
good.
I think you broke down a lot of questions I had about the jig and stuff like that. I really appreciate you sharing all that.
I really don't have any secrets. I just go do it. It's one of those kind
Yeah,
of things.
Yeah.
Like people ask for my jig and I hand them my jig. Like I'm just like, here you go. Like,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Heck
yeah,
I
yeah.
just
yeah,
go fish.
yeah. You're basically saying you can't do what I do, man. Like, it's not a big deal.
I don't know about that. But there's not other people doing it.
That's
Nobody's
right.
specializing.
That's
No,
true.
dude.
Very
But
true.
I mean, it's worked for what 40, 50 years. So I'm gonna keep throwing it.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like you work really hard though to find your spots, man. That's an interesting tactic as far as putting in the wheel time, man. I like we encourage people all the time, like just put in your wheel time.
Yeah.
And I get it. Not a lot of people can do that. If you're not fishing at a high
Right.
level or really trying to be competitive and you just get to go out for the weekend. Last thing you wanted to go do is idle all weekend. But
Right.
man, it's a valuable tool, man. Don't sleep on it.
Right. It is one of those things. And I just don't want to get too fatigued too, or you got 3 long days and then no day off and tournament fishing. I'm like, if I can take it as easy on my body as I can and be as effective as I possibly can, like I'm gonna
Sure.
do that. It might be
Sure.
part of being a bigger guy too, but I'm like, I figured it out.
Yeah. So you in Maine right now?
No, I actually got a place here, Lake of the Ozarks. I liked
Okay.
it so much that like
All right,
got
I think you said that
this
earlier.
my shop, but it's
Nice,
kind
that
of
thing's
a mess right
sick.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I got South
Heck
Park
yeah.
playing in the background.
Yeah.
But
Nice, dude. That's a cool shop. I'm jealous. I'm
is.
envious of the shop.
Yeah.
I thought the ground was really hard here down south, and just before we got on call, I got my truck stuck in the driveway
Oh,
on the
nice.
train. So there's a big like lifted F-350 stuck in the driveway
Oh,
at
it's
the
still
moment.
stuck?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, dude.
Like
Gonna need-
my lower body's like covered in mud right now from trying to get it out. I was
That's
like, I
awesome.
gotta do a podcast in a few minutes. I'll get it out later. Maybe it'll freeze tonight.
Yeah. Well, dude, why you got anything else for him?
No, man. I appreciate you, giving us time of the day to talk
doubt.
about that stuff, and excited to see, you on the elites and the NPFL. That'll be, the NPFL is going to have a lot of big names in it. You being one of them, with several other guys that are going to make that, make the, viewership over there. People are going to be watching. So
Yeah, it's one of those things too. Like, I'm not going over there and being like, I'm gonna crush everybody without scope. Like, I just want to try something. I'm like, no ego here. I'm just gonna go fish.
yeah,
See what
man.
happens. It's lakes I like, so I know I'll enjoy my time out there regardless.
that's what's up.
Should be
Well,
fun.
dude, we appreciate you coming on. I didn't know your truck was stuck. We could have let you go and got that on. Like now I feel kind of bad. Like probably could have
You're
got
going to
some
call in
neighbors to
like a
help you.
tractor for the F-350 dog. Like, I don't know,
It's
man.
it's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
It's gonna. There was one spot that they didn't put stone apparently, and I found it. I
Well,
only
man, we
got it
appreciate
stuck
it
too. I
again.
had to use the bathroom, and there's no bathroom in here. And I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do now? My truck's
Yeah.
stuck. I'm slipping in the mud. I had flip flops, mud between my toes. Now I got mud in the boat.
Oh,
It was a
dang,
mess.
dude.
Golly, man.
It was funny though.
Well, go find a neighbor to help you pull that big sucker out, dude. We appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure we'll have you back on. We're probably going to pick your brain some more as you go through the season.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
Cool. See you guys later.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye.
Tyler Greenfish Williams.
Tyler. Dude, you gave him the nickname, Greenfish Williams.
Man, that's a good dude, man. You can tell he's just kind of like not really wrapped up in the bull crap and just kind of doing his own thing and enjoying life. I envy that.
Great
Envy
attitude.
that a
It's a
little.
great attitude to have, man. Just have fun. It's fishing. It's fishing.
Yep.
Love that. Love it. But no, man, I think he's going to do well, both in the elites and in the NPFL. I think I'm going to be excited to see what he does there. And we talked about it a bunch, the NPFL, and like, man, like how is it? I think they're going to have a ton of eyes. I think that was such a cool move of them to go non-FFS to give the sport something to watch. I think this year is going to be like super good to watch Bassmaster, the BPT. Again, I didn't have a whole lot of time to watch much of it today, but like the guys have to pick which periods they can and can't throw it, and they have to announce it. And I saw they had like a little column that said FFS P1 or whatever, and it was like, I'm assuming that means they could use it in period 1, but
Or no, they had a like if it was green, it means they did. It means they were active in period 1. If it was red, that means like they're done. Like they're
okay.
Yeah, and if it was white, it means they have not activated it yet. Like
Typical.
Bobby Lane and Mark Davis, they stayed white, son, because they didn't use it.
Oh yeah, I saw some blanks on there. Like, nah, bro, we're just not
Bro,
gonna
today MLF had a lot of eyes on them. Like that new format is very interesting, and today was really interesting. Like,
well, the website didn't work like first 2 hours of the morning.
What's that?
The website didn't even like I couldn't even watch.
No.
So like I got in at I usually get in early at work. I get in about 7, and I was like,
Yeah.
I turned it on while I was doing emails and stuff, and I was like, I can't even get to load. So like I just turned it off.
No, it was pretty frustrating this morning. They made a post and got it lined out, but I'm sure it's because they had a lot of people trying to get on at one time.
Well, it's the only thing going on right now. It's the first big, top tier elite caliber, what BPT elite, whatever. But it's the top dogs fishing. It's the first one of the season.
Top dogs, and like for me, like I don't really watch a lot of live, but just this new format had me interested. Like, dude, I'm telling you, you could tell this morning. Like Jacob Wheeler's normally talking to the camera, like chit chat up, and he even apologized at the end of the round. He's like, "Look, like these dudes were like, wave one, throw it out there, like they're stressing because they know that
windows closed
after this four phase sun-on round, like." It was insane because Wheeler, putting up 50 pounds and, DC putting up 40 something pounds. Like these dudes were crushing them, dude, like crushing them. And if it had been the old format, these dudes would literally have 100 and something pounds already. Like they were crushing them.
So would you rather watch them scope all day?
Well, if it would have been the same for everybody else as it was as them, it would have sucked because you wouldn't have been watching fish catches, but it wasn't that way. So it made it entertaining because guys like Nick LeBrun and MDJ,
Mark Davis. I mean, like you said, Mark Davis was in the lead for a while.
These guys were catching fish throughout the day, but if it was the same for everybody, like if it was like Wheeler and DC and them that like literally might have caught 3 to 5 other fish the entire rest of the day, it would have sucked to watch that because they were struggling. Now, I mean, I think if you had the right 1-2 punch, like if you're in that area and you use your first period and you scope 50 something freaking pounds to start the day, or you scope 40 pounds to start the day, and then you were to stay in that area, like where everybody else is cracking them on a chatterbait, if you had that 1-2 punch, you are literally unbeatable. Like you win.
LeBrun.
Yeah, well, LeBrun's dangerous. How Conroe is, like, and these guys are finna learn that you beat on them like that. Like, I didn't even, like, Conroe kind of showed out today to me. I was like, dude, I didn't even know there was that many fish in Conroe. Like, much less than one creek, dude. Like, hundreds of bass.
Oh, they caught every bass in that creek.
But you'll see tomorrow, like,
times.
If you tune in the morning and they got the live coverage right, you'll see the same guys, utilizing that 4-face sonar in round 1, and it's gonna be like they're freaking moving, dude. They're moving.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, but from a viewer aspect, I wouldn't have cared if they left it alone or not. I mean, somebody would have caught 100 pounds today if they'd have left it alone. But it is what it is, man.
Well, dude, I think that was a good episode, man. Like you said, I really enjoyed Tyler, and I appreciate him coming on. I knew like he was going to be the perfect like first guest of the year because like what we talked about, like really kind of breaking down a little more technique. I knew, like I just had a feeling. Like I talked to him a little bit the few times I've met him or ran into him, but I just knew he's just one of those guys that's going to be a straight shooter and just tell you what's going on and what he's doing. Like even him divulging the whole white jig thing on fork, dude. That's a big nugget, man.
When you're talking to us, we're gonna get some things out of you because, like, we bass fish, like we really do it like that. So, like, we're gonna ask you questions about, like, we're really gonna get in your head.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys probably aren't gonna be as open as Tyler was, but
no, we'll get it out of them, though, dude.
But we're gonna get it out of them.
We're gonna get out of them. We're gonna get out of them.
We got a cool guest coming on tomorrow too, so I'm really excited about him. Another young hammer.
Well, we're gonna upload. So we record this Thursday night. I'll probably upload it tomorrow, Friday morning. It's not the best time for.
You need to when you upload it. The title needs to be "You Don't Know Shit About Jig Fishing" with Tyler Williams.
You can't catch him like I catch him. Put that in quotes.
He'd be so mad. He'd be like, dude, that's
T.
totally
Will.
not me.
T.
That's
Will
like totally
said,
not
you
Tyler.
can't catch him like I catch him.
That's like not who he is at all. He's not like
No,
that.
dude, he's like super chill. It was he's a cool guest. I'd love to have him back on. He's a pretty salty jerkbait fisherman. I was kind of looking at the time clock there. I know my attention span, everybody else's attention span kind of will fade after about an hour.
I can't believe we made it to an hour. It did not feel like that long.
No, man, that was a great conversation. He gave up a lot of really good nuggets. I hope people watch this through because there's a lot to learn. He had a lot to offer there, and if you're paying attention, he threw a lot of really good bones out there.
Yeah,
some stuff that I think we might have a little white swim jig tied on.
Yeah. That'll work, man. I think the wind's gonna blow pretty hard tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna go out to Rayburn. We'll be off limits next week. Me and Shane, we got
the second big team derb of this.
I'm ready for that one. Ready.
We're gonna go back to back.
Well, yeah, as a team, because I just got my head caved in the Toyota. So
yeah, so we actually didn't even get to finish our intro because you got a call or whatever. But
I know that sucks because now nobody's gonna watch it this long. I was just gonna talk about how
I think my mom's still watching, and maybe your dad are still watching.
We're not live.
No, but I mean, watch this far right now.
I was just gonna say, we won a tournament basically with no scope and
cranking PD10, brother.
Cannot believe that. I can't believe that. We fished more years without live scope than we have with it. Yet we only can scope. So I didn't know.
That's all we got, dude. That's all we got.
So
that's all we do. We just.
But anyway, I really wanted to put that at the beginning. So
it doesn't matter, dude. I don't care, man. Matter. You know what? Because that check cash is the same. You hear me?
I wanted to talk about a polygraph too, but whatever.
All right, let me hear the polygraph story. I was
just going to talk about how I got my first polygraph out of the way, and everybody I've told about that, they're like, how the heck how did you just now take your first polygraph? And I'm
dude, it's ridiculous.
Takes them all, bro.
I've literally taken all of our polygraphs. And to be fair, it's not like they allow us to pick who gets to take the polygraph.
Well, the ones where they do allow you to pick, I'm like, yeah, he's got it.
Yeah. Belt used to let us, they would come up to us together and they'd be like, hey, which one of you takes polygraph? Why? I'd be like, Shane's got it. And I'd be like, whatever, I'll go take it. But Champs, Jeff Welch, tournament director, he'll ask you to come up. Both of you pick a number between 1 and 5, and whoever's close to the number gets the polygraph.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And Shane absolutely screwed me and picked the number.
Oh, dude, I got you, dude.
So when Shane picks 1, I have if it's
if it's not 1,
I gotta go with 5 because I don't know.
But you didn't. What did you even pick?
It didn't matter. I was going to say 4, and he said, well, it was going to be 4, so you're up.
So how was it? How was your first polygraph?
It was intimidating. If you've never been strapped into a polygraph, I don't care how tough you think you are, and even though you didn't do anything wrong, because I know we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't even crank the engine. We both had our life jackets strapped all day, kill switch, even that, and that's probably one of the easiest rules to break. If you're, let's say I'm driving let's say Shane's driving and I ain't got my kill switch or my life jacket buckled and he starts going. Yeah. Well, technically I didn't have it buckled. That's probably one of the easy, and we didn't even do that. So I knew we were good.
Oh no.
It is an intimidating thing though, because you're strapped up here around your chest, you're strapped around your stomach, you've got things on your fingers and they're taking your blood pressure. And you're like, dude, what am I doing right now? He could ask you anything. And you're like, and some of the questions were weird.
Weird.
When I got done, I was like, was that really a necessary thing to ask? Because I really don't think it was, but whatever. I mean, I think they're just trying to get readings on you is all they're doing. And that's why.
Yeah, dude, they just need data sets. That's all it is. It's about getting data on each question and just building a level of consistency. This is when he's telling the truth. And they forced you to lie on a couple questions, huh?
But to be fair, what's going on my screen?
Oh, did they force you to lie on a couple questions?
Yeah, I think so.
2.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we had some unfortunate polygraph results on Rayburn to start the year.
Ah.
And nobody technically passed one yet. Like people had been like dropping like
It's
flies.
a fair statement. It's a fair statement.
So I was like the first one to try to pass one, and like I knew we were good, but it is like.
But that was in your mind. You're like, I got to be the first one to pass a polygraph.
Yeah, when I came out, everybody was at the pavilion, just kind of looked over at me, and I was like,
We're good. We're good.
But yeah,
Oh, dude.
It's cool. It's a cool thing, man. Anytime you're in that polygraph room, it's usually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So
that's what you got to tell yourself, man. When you sit down in that room, you're like, hey, today's a good day.
It's a good day.
Get paid.
Hopefully we do it again next weekend. I'm really excited. The wind does not look good right now for next weekend, but I hope it's
seeing that in the forecast. But
I hope I just read it wrong, but it's changed. Like it's been changing a lot. So I'm excited to get out there again tomorrow.
I'll be out there Saturday and Sunday. Me and Brooks going to be putting in that wheel time like Tyler said. So
yeah, I'm excited, man. Excited.
Yep.
Derby season, baby.
Let's go for dub number 2 of the year.
All right, man.
All right, dude. We'll see you.
See you.